Hello, beautiful people. This is Freedom Fighter. Thank you for tuning into our channel, Goldilocks Global Banking News. Everybody knows that Goldilocks is the number one source for the RV GCR. People from around the world tune in to see what Goldilocks is sharing on the RV GCR. Don't miss your chance and get your latest updates every day. So like, share, and subscribe to this channel to get your daily podcast from the Goldilocks articles on the RV GCR. Brought to you by Freedom Fighter. Beautiful people, hello, beautiful people, beautiful people. This is Freedom Fighter, and welcome to Goldilocks Global Banking News. I'm your host. Folks, today, Goldilocks is giving us real-time information on what to expect from Vietnam and the upgrade of the FTSE Russell. By the time you hear this call, it will be October the 8th. And the expectation is that Vietnam most likely would have been accepted as an emerging market economy upgraded by the FTSE Russell. For those that have been following Goldilocks, you know the magnitude of what this is and what it will do to the value of the Vietnamese dong in time. Goldilocks is also sharing some very important information behind the laws that have been passed in Congress that Goldilocks has been talking about for the last several years that are directly connected to the revaluation of currencies. That being said, let's jump right into what Goldilocks is sharing today. Important notice. Goldilocks is stating is that for the past 5 to 6 years, the Goldilocks room has been going over several federal registered laws being passed through Congress that are connected to the revaluation of currencies. Notice how all of these laws, Goldilocks is saying, governs and align with the new trading fundamentals on credit valuations regarding currency exchange rates. I'm going to repeat that. Notice how these laws that have been passed through Congress They govern and align with the new trading fundamentals, meaning the new banking system, on credit valuations regarding currency exchange rates. These new laws, Goldilocks is stating, synchronize themselves with the government, the banking system, and the trading platforms. Yes, the trading platforms that are connected on the water through all of the shipping ports. It is no accident that we are being prepared for the global currency transitions around the world with new governance inside a new digital financial system. The new governance, folks, are the reforms that various countries like Iraq has passed related to the new digital banking system that Vietnam has passed, such as Resolution 68, connected to the new digital banking system. And the various countries for the currencies that we hold that have passed laws. The United States and the digital asset regulations that passed through Congress. The Genius Act, the Crypto Clarity Act. These are the reforms, ladies and gentlemen, that are and were necessary, laying the foundation of the new banking system, the new digital asset banking system, which will oversee the regulations that will support us and protect us in the new banking system and protect the countries, Iraq, Vietnam, and others, for doing business with the United States under these new regulations. Just imagine these countries are in the position to revalue their currencies. And the number one global economy, which is the United States, the biggest, baddest economy, didn't have regulations to support the currencies and their new rates in the new system? For some of you listening to this, your immediate mindset and thought is to, oh, they could have figured it out, couldn't they? Imagine that. Exchanging in the old system that was in transition to the new system, and you had no backing for your currencies. You would have waited all this time to exchange your currencies and couldn't even go in to the bank and get your money because the new system wouldn't even allow the old system to even exist. You couldn't exchange your currencies in the old system. Waiting all this time to get your money, and you wouldn't have had none, so you wouldn't have got no honey when you got home. Waiting all this time, listening to, well, you already know. Let's go to what Goldilocks is sharing next. Vietnam. This is a quote directly from the Vietnamese news outlets. Quoting, analysts suggest that the Vietnamese market is likely to experience volatility in the upcoming trading session, buoyed by positive sentiment, end quote. What does this mean? The positive sentiment, the positive momentum that is arising from the expectation that Vietnam would be upgraded, their economy, their stock market would be upgraded to an emerging market status, has caused a feeding frenzy of investors, even more so now, into Vietnam's stocks, bonds, and markets. Vietnam's potential upgrade to an emerging market status, it was scheduled to be for, like I said, yesterday, on the 7th. This decision, ladies and gentlemen, stems from Vietnam's ongoing reforms, including the removal of what's called pre-funding requirements that was mandatory in order to be upgraded to an emerging market. Implementation of faster settlement systems like the KRX trading platform eased foreign ownership limits and improved market transparency. By the time you hear this, understand and know that everything that we're sharing right now and have until this time, the numbers particularly they will begin to move in and out of the Vietnamese market. All things considered, if they have gotten the upgrade. If approved, the upgrade could attract at least $5 to $7 billion in initial inflows, not total, initial inflows of passive funds tracking the FTSE Russell indices all around the world in emerging markets. This broader estimate takes it up to 25 billion of passive inflows. Vietnam was on the watch list of the FTSE Russell for this upgrade, ladies and gentlemen, since 2018. Since 2018, Vietnam has rigorously, night and day, worked to make sure they were approved for this upgrade. The timing could not be more perfect around the tariffs and the tariff agreement that Vietnam signed with the United States. Understand and know if Vietnam is upgraded by the FTSE Russell, it just does not only affect Vietnam and the United States doing business with one another. Folks, FTSE Russell is international. All countries and their stock markets around the world are connected to the FTSE Russell. This is a cousin of NASDAQ, the New York Stock Exchange, where trillions are traded daily. The FTSE Russell, trillions are traded and exchanged daily. Vietnam is even looking for another upgrade in the future, the very near future, potentially next year, by the Morgan Stanley Index. Although seen as more challenging, it's great. It's a high likelihood that they'll be considered. And the target for that is between next year and the year 2030. Nonetheless, there will be the expectation is that the Vietnamese dong will continuously float for the period of 3 to 5 years. That's the expectation. The government of Vietnam's self-imposed 2025 deadline reflects strong political will, but full implementation would follow the announcement to manage absorption of such an upgrade. This positions Vietnam as a key China plus one beneficiary amid global supply chain shifts. What does that mean, China plus one? Folks, Vietnam is in close proximity to China. They're in Asia. China is one of Vietnam's major trading partners. China has the second biggest economy next to the United States. But Vietnam is the fastest growing economy. Percentage-wise, they've passed up the speed of growing their economy and GDP faster than the United States and China. So when this says China plus one, this is China plus Vietnam. They are like partners, if you will, in a dance because of the strength of China and the now growing strength of Vietnam. With the expectation of their upgrade to the FTSE Russell and in the future the MSCI, which is Morgan Stanley, and other potential opportunities for upgrades, it sets Vietnam apart from other Asian countries, other countries around the world. Vietnam is maintaining a strong trade surplus, Goldilocks is stating, with import-export turnover reaching $432 billion in the first half of this year alone, and a surplus of over $3 billion just in the first quarter alone. See, folks, these are the market fundamentals. Let me give it to you in layman's terms. These are the numbers that support an increase in the value of a country's currency. Bottom line, a country that has this type of growth can afford the raising of their currency. How can a country afford to raise To allow, let me say it differently, because I don't want you to think that just flip a switch and the rate can go whatever the country wants to go to, because that's what you heard on the internet. Again, if that was the case, that a country could do that, that has millions of people, why can't you do that for your car or your home? It's just one car. It's just one home. Just raise the rate and say you're just going to just give it a rate, and people will accept it as it is. If it was just that easy, if that's how raising the rate of a currency can happen, couldn't you raise the rate of your car, your home, and it'll just be whatever you say it is, or whatever someone says it is? So if you go on the internet and tell everybody your house is worth $5 million, your house is worth $5 million. It's true. And because your friends, your family, your colleagues, everyone gets on the internet and say your house is worth $5 million, it must be true. Because 5 people said it. 6 people said it. 7 people said it. Y'all went on podcasts and shows and told everybody this house worth $5 million. But your house is, when they do the appraisal, your house is worth, well, nowhere near $5 million. Let's say it's worth $200,000. But just because a whole bunch of people got on the internet and said your house worth $5 million, it's worth $5 million, right? Where are the fundamentals? Where are the numbers to support that? Did you upgrade it with a new pool? New HVAC system? New floors? Sprinkler system? Roof? So that $200,000 house now, it may be worth $250. $250. Not 50, $250. And you want $5 million. Why? Because you said so. Same thing applies with the whole entire country that has their own currency, their own banking system, their own government, state, federal, local, employees, stock market. They can just raise the value of their currency to a rate because somebody and they said on the internet that's what it's gonna be. Don't work like that. So you have to understand, folks, there's fundamentals, money mechanisms that apply to the value of a currency to be justified in having a rate that's higher than what it is at the moment. Supply and demand. There must be a demand for the currency and a demand for that country's assets to also create the momentum behind the currency to raise it up in value. Ladies and gentlemen, stay in the truth. If you do not seek it, you will not find it. It is written, ask and you shall receive. Seek and ye shall find. Knock and the door shall be opened unto you. What are you seeking? Are you seeking the truth? Verifiable truth and facts? Or are you seeking hope? Are you seeking hope? If you're seeking hope, that means you did not seek truth. Because if you sought the truth, you would have found it. You would be at peace. You would have the relationships with the actual bankers, that your anxiety would have gone away and you would have had that tranquility, that peace, based on knowing where to go exchange and who will help grow and exchange and grow your wealth. But hope is because you lack the understanding of your own investment. You have no faith in your investment. Hope, see, you seek hope, you find it. You seek hope, hope is for sale all over the internet. That hope is what gets you to those long 3-day weekends with your pickle in your hand on Tuesday after that long 3-day weekend, and you in the same position that you were before that weekend started, and you hear the same song and dance about a delay. How does that make you feel? That hope, folks, you continue to seek it. There are plenty people selling it. That hope is really dope. You need to kick your addiction. Seek the truth that God has provided in your face. I remember in the old room, someone said about a particular worm guru that slithers on the internet, giving people dates and rates, and has been for the last 7-8 years. Someone had the nerve to say they said they don't care if this worm is lying to them. He gives them hope. I wanted to ask that gentleman, when your wife goes out with her friends at night, do you hope she comes back home? Or do you have faith and confidence and trust in that she will? Wouldn't it be better to have the confidence and the faith through your relationships? You got such a good relationship with your hubby. You got a good relationship with your wifey. You don't hope that they come back home and don't go slide off somewhere with somebody else. You know them. You got that strong bond and relationship with them. You know they're coming back home to you. But you have an investment and you have no relationships established. You just hope what you hear on the internet from your favorite guru is true. When the time comes and these currency rates begin to raise in value, many of you are going to hope and wish that you would have established your relationships. To those beautiful people, we love you. Ciao.
Hello, beautiful people. This is Freedom Fighter. Thank you for tuning into our channel, Goldilocks Global Banking News. Everybody knows that Goldilocks is the #1 source for the RV GCR. People from around the world tune in to see what Goldilocks is sharing on the RV GCR. Don't miss your chance and get your latest updates every day. So like, share, and subscribe to this channel to get your daily podcast from the Goldilocks articles on the RV GCR. brought to you by Freedom Fighter.